Hey everyone, Doug here at the JewelryMonk studio with a quick video demonstration how I turn silver scrap into an ingot that I will eventually roll into usable sheet silver. So let's get at it. The first thing I'm going to do is preheat the crucible. You can see me adjusting the flame here. Preheating the crucible does two things. One, it helps the silver melt a little faster. But it also makes sure that the crucible doesn't have any cold spots in it, so when I do pour the metal that it stays nice and warm and fluid. So you can see me just kind of heating up the crucible, getting ready to put some of the silver in. Now the silver pieces are clean silver, but they're awkward shapes, so it doesn't take all of it at the same time. So you can see as I start to pour the silver into the crucible, I have to kind of take my time, and I put about half of what I'm using in there, melt that, and then I'll put the rest in. The silver that I'm using there is about 55 grams of silver, and if you look in the background you can see the mold that I'm using. It is a sand casting mold rather than your usual ingot mold, and I do this for a couple of reasons. One is the sand casting mold I can adjust fairly easily because I have some pieces that I've made that I can use that I know how much silver they're going to take. So if you look at the examples here, there's one of them that's 60 grams. That's the one that I've used in the sand casting mold. And then there's some other selections as well, depending on how much silver I have and that I want to melt. Another reason that I use the sand casting mold rather than the ingot mold is just for me it's easier to pour into a larger spout that the sand casting mold has rather than the small spout that the ingot mold have. You can see here it's a fairly small opening, so it's hard for me to pour that metal in there without making a mess. So that's one of the reasons why I use the sand casting. So you can see I added a little bit of borax to the silver just to pull out any of the impurities, and what it does is it rises to the top and it comes to the side. And now I pour the metal into the mold, keeping the flame on the metal so that it does not cool down. Goes pretty quick. You can see as I've been talking, it was that quick. I melted the silver, poured it into the mold. Now I'm opening up the mold, and it's not hot on the outside because the insulation from the sand. You can see the piece I just cast, and now I'll take this piece and put it into my pickle pot and clean it up a little bit and get it ready to roll into usable sheet, which we'll do that next. Okay, after I've pickled the silver, I clean it up really good to make sure there's no debris or sand or anything that will damage my rollers. Now I take the piece to the rolling mill and just slowly run it through the rolling mill. I don't take very big bites at all, maybe a tenth of a millimeter at a time, maybe a little bit more, but I'll run it through 4 or 5 times, and then after that it's work hardened, so it needs to be annealed, and that's a process of heating it up to take the work hardening out of the metal and make it malleable again. So after we're done rolling this through a few times, we will take it to the bench and anneal it. And what I do here is I turn off my light just so I can watch the color of the metal as I'm heating it up, and I want to heat it up not so that it's glowing red, but I want to see a little bit of a pink color to the silver, and if you look real close, I've also got some other videos that go into more detail on annealing. on this channel, so if you want to do a little bit of searching, you can find it. But so I'm heating it up. Again, I got the light off so I can see the color of the metal, and I don't want it to glow red, but I want to see a little bit of a dull pink color in the metal, and then I know that's about the temperature that I want it. You can see it's getting there right now. As the flame passes over, you can kind of see it's kind of a white pink color, and that's the temperature that I'm looking for. So then I can either take this and put it in my pickle and make sure that I don't splash any of the pickle around, or I can set it aside. Sometimes I'll put it on my bench pin and let it cool by itself, just air cool. And then I take it to the rolling mill again and roll it through. Again, just taking small little bites, and 1/10 of a millimeter, maybe 2/10 of a millimeter at the most. And as it's thinning out, the metal is getting a little bit longer, and you can see that happening here. And again, the process of rolling and annealing, you continue to do that until you get the thickness that you want. And this, it started out about 3 millimeters thick, and I want to take it down to about 20 gauge silver, because that's what I want to use for on this next project. So you can see me finishing up, rolling it one more time, and then I'll take it to the bench, take the work hardening out of it, and anneal it again. And see, it's the same thing. Take the torch to it, roll it out a little bit more, take the torch to it again after I rolled it out, and continue to do this until it gets to where I want it. And again, this is 20 gauge silver. Now I can use this for my next project. And this particular sand casting unit that I'm using right now is from Krag Dabler. You can find it at DIYcastings.com. It is a phenomenal system, and I recommend it highly.